if he'll give this back to me. Come on, Haggy. They're still laughing at it. It's still funny. Oh, yeah. Boy, it's you. Oh my god. Wow. It's like I've missed me. Probably close enough, eh? Chicken. Got it in, big fella. Alright, give it a round. It's a bit less enthusiastic, mate, but we'll take it. And go for a head shake. Ah, you sickos, that's what you pay the money for, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, has everyone seen the thing? It was up here just before, hey?
Yeah.
I'm guessing it went into the water?
Yeah.
Maybe this dark,
Yeah.
ominous looking shadow, that might be him?
Yeah.
Alright, we're going to check that theory out. We're going to see if that is the crocodile. We're going to see what kind of mood he's going to be in for the show, okay? So, bear with me while we suss that out. Let's make sure my tools are working right. Okay, is that you, Mr. Crocodile?
No.
Everyone's gone very quiet. You're waiting for something to happen, eh? Boy, it's you. Oh my god. Alright, that'll do. See you later, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. We've all learned a lot, right? We are going to do a little bit more with this critter. If he lets me through. Can we come this way? Alright, we'll bear with that for a second. We'll see if he wants to decide to go in the water. Welcome to the 3 o'clock Crocodile Attack show, guys. My name is Beck. I'm going to be doing the show for you today. I've also got an army of people here to help me today, because when you're working with big predatory animals, it does have the potential to go wrong. Alright, so in my corner here I've got Eden. He's going to be the main guard looking after me should things go pear-shaped. I've got Will, the work experience kid, and Cassie, the koala keeper, so I'm in good hands, eh? But they've got courage, so we should be alright.
Told you it's my best.
Do you want to splash him in? So what I'm going to do is I'm kind of slip past this thing. Not into it today, hey? It's just a little bit too tight for me to get past. What do you reckon? Yeah. Maybe like 80-20. So I'll wait for him to turn around. Might back off and see if that helps. Eden, maybe if you just jump over the fence, mate, into the water. I'm trying to do a show here. Oh, he's thinking about it now. Whoa. Wow. It's like I've missed me. All right, now welcome to the show. So we have got a large male saltwater crocodile in here as well. That's what makes it fun for you guys. We do know that he's a male saltwater croc. We know he's not a freshwater crocodile. There's 2 species found in here in Australia, the salties and the freshies. This fella, he is too big to be a freshwater crocodile, all right? We have measured him. It's not an easy task. We don't do it every week. And this guy, he measures in at 3.7 metres long. So too big to be a freshie. He's also too big to be a female saltwater crocodile. The females of this species, they max out at about the 3.1 metre length. So he's too big to be a girl as well. Now, doing this show every day, we wanted to give this crocodile a cool name as well, because if you go through the industry, who doesn't have the originals like Chopper, Godzilla, Psycho? We've got them too, we're not above that, but hundreds of thousands of people have come to see this crocodile, so we wanted him to be a bit more unique. So let me formally introduce you to Hagrid. Alright, so if you're familiar with Harry Potter, big buffy head like the bloke in that book, that's where the similarities end. He is not a gentle giant, he is hardwired on territoriality and dominancy. So much so that he was handpicked for this show. Because I don't know if you noticed, but he's got some serious unresolved anger management issues, right? He wants to kill someone every day. Now, when we first got him to size, because Hagrid here, he was actually born and raised here at Hartley's. 35 years ago, he hatched out of his egg as a little tacker about this big. 35 years later, that's what he looked like. As he started to get to a substantial size, we put him in our main lagoon because that is our favourite enclosure for crocodiles. That is as good as it gets for a captive environment. The problem was, my mate Hagrid, he wasn't interested in the 22 girlfriends or the free chicken, he just wanted to kill other crocodiles. So that was a problem. So we took him out of that enclosure and we trialled him in another communal pen, the 11 o'clock show arena. If you've been here from then, you might have seen that show. He beat all those crocs up as well. So we thought, you beauty, show crocodile. Try kill a zookeeper every day at 3 o'clock instead. He's happy, you sickos are happy, I get my paycheck, I'm happy as well, right? So what we're going to do through this show, we're going to work with Hagrid for the next 25 minutes or so. We're going to give you heaps of crocodile facts. We're going to get him up a few times. We're going to go for some death rolls and head shakes. And hopefully I'm going to walk out that gate at the end of the show, okay? What we're going to do now, though, is we're going to give him a little bit of food, a little bit of chicken. And he probably knows this. He looks like he's stalking me a little bit. Alright, so I'm going to bring him up here so you can get a good look at him and we'll give him a bit of a reward, hey? Alright. I'm a professional, chill out. I'm pretty sure that's him because it's not going to end well for me if that's him, so pretty sure. Let's test that one. I thought so. Come up for some food, my friend. A bit closer. Closer? Oh, probably close enough, eh? Relax. Relax. Chicken. Good in, big fella. Alright, give him a round of applause, guys. That's why he's the show crocodile. Alright, so if we go back to basics with Hagrid here, that's what we do throughout the show. We haven't taught him anything special. All he does is exactly what crocodiles do out in the wild, right? So in terms of what they're doing in the wild, they're niche in the environment. They're described as a semi-aquatic ambush attacker targeting land-based prey on the edge of the water. It's exactly what we're doing in the show, right? So what he is good at is staying hidden. He is the master of the surprise attack. He doesn't want to give away his position until he actually reckons he can secure his prey. So what they do, when they're in hunting mode, the first thing they're going to do is pop up for a bit of a sticky beak. And he might do it soon. It's called the minimal exposure position. So these crocodiles, they're very close to being neutrally buoyant. Very little muscle reactions can cause them to rise up or sink down in the water. So if he wants to have a bit of a go, he'll slowly start to rise up to the surface and he will put 2% of his body mass up above the surface of the water. That 2% is including his eyes, his ears, and his nose. Perfect timing, Hagrid. I think he's going to do it right now for me. Can you see him? No. He's slowly starting to rise up because he's not quite sure where I am. So he's going to do that minimal exposure position like a professional. How's that? And if he reckons he can get me, he'll sink back down. Right? Let's talk about him in here for a second. So he sinks up, rises up rather, eyes, ears and nose up above the surface of the water. Those three senses, they're pretty similar to ours. They're adapted for the aerial environment. So he can see, he can hear, he can smell, he can breathe, but there is very little visual indication of the crocodile that's there, and you can't really tell how big the animal is either. It's only 2% of his body mass after all. As he starts to sink down though, those sensors go out the window. So like I said, similar to our sensors. Eyes in murky water like this, it would be very difficult to see things. Maybe if it was a little bit clearer, he'd see blurred images like we do when we open our eyes under the water, but he definitely doesn't have a superpower that lets him see through mud. In terms of hearing, it would be muffled underneath the surface of the water. He wouldn't be able to position where his prey was coming from. And definitely smell, that's pretty much redundant. He's an air breather like us. If he tries to take a whiff, he's going to get a lungful of water, which isn't going to work very well. However, I'm sure you guys know that crocodiles have been on this planet for a very long time. Arguably, something very similar to this fella has been here for at least 90 million years. and millions of years of evolution have favoured them. This guy uses the same hunting technique that his ancestors used to hunt dinosaurs with, yeah? So, what he's evolved to have when those senses go out the window is another one, something that we don't have. They're a hypersensitive animal. They have dome-like pressure receptors on most of the scales of their body. So when we walk along the bank, he can feel that, especially if I'm heavy-footed. If I'm in the water, I'm just a little bit nervous of him here. Let's see if he comes up again. So that is the minimal exposure position. He lines me up, and then if he reckons he can get me, like I said, he'll come down and he'll start to move in closer. But me walking along here, if I do something like that, that gives away my position instantly, right? If I go down to the water, if I was like a duck or a little wallaby and I started taking a drink at the water's edge, I'd be sending off little vibrations as well. This is like ringing the dinner bell for Hagrid. That makes me nervous doing that. And if he actually thinks he can secure his prey, he doesn't go up again. He's already lined you up. He'll launch up out of the water. He'll have his mouth wide open. He'll be snapping at anything that he might be able to grab. He's not really aiming. He's just chomping at whatever's there. And if he was really motivated on a good day, he could lunge about half his body length up out of the water. So probably about up to here from the water's edge. That's why we always recommend standing 5 metres back up here in croc country. If he secures his prey, he just chomps down, he does a big U-turn, and then he sinks down to the bottom of the water and he waits for that prey item to stop kicking. Drowning is the huge way that they're usually killing their prey. So we'll see if we can demonstrate that attack for you. He seems pretty onto it today, so let me just see how we go. Oh. Come up, mate. Can you get me? I got you going, didn't it? You come get it? Oh, this looks better in my head. So, I don't know if you guys noticed. I certainly did. Hagrid's got some big teeth on him, hey? You should have seen that from my angle. They are big. Look, there they are. Yeah, that's the reaction I was looking for. They're big, they're blunt, they're rounded in shape. They're not made for ripping and tearing their prey. They're made They're made for interlocking and securing their prey in their mouth. If you had one of his teeth out of his mouth and you tried to break the skin, you wouldn't be able to. But when he came up at the start, you would have heard those popping sounds when he closed his mouth. If you've got a jaw pressure like these guys, you don't need sharp teeth, right? So to put it into perspective, they've done studies on the jaw closing pressures of crocodiles. And a big adult male saltwater crocodile in the Northern Territory, about 4.5 metres long, it consistently bit down between 4,000 and 5,000 pounds of pressure. So that's not just a number. If you picked up a 4-wheel drive car with a crane and then dropped it on top of you, that's what it feels like to be bitten by one of these things. And then they've got those 64 teeth driving into you as well. Now, when they're catching their prey, like I said, they usually just sink down and they drown it. In terms of what they're hunting, it's going to depend on how big the crocodile is. Hagrid here, like I said, 35 years ago, he hatched out of his egg only this big. He's not going to be targeting wallabies or anything like that when he's only a little tucker. So what they start off doing is looking for things like fish, little crustaceans, invertebrates, insects, all that kind of stuff. And as they start to get bigger, that's when their prey size category can start to get bigger as well. Once they get to about 2 metres, they might start looking at things like ducks and water birds, anything that's coming down to the surface of the water here. As they get to Hagrid's size and bigger, that's when people come on the menu as well. They do target us as a food source. Big crocodiles though, the males of this species, they average between 4 and 5 metres long, and unique individuals can get up and over 6 metres in length. They can target huge prey items, things like horses, cattle, even the Asiatic water buffalo, and those things can weigh over a tonne in weight. Now, keep in mind, guys, crocodiles are not snakes. They don't swallow their prey whole. No matter how big you are, it's difficult to swallow a cow, right? So they've got different techniques to break their prey apart. Their jaw can't move from side to side like ours, and they have those blunt teeth. So rather than relying on that, what they start to do is they start to do big violent head shakes out of the water. Because their teeth are jumped in, sometimes bite-sized pieces will come flying off. Or if it's still resisting, it's still not breaking apart too much, that's when they'll go for the roll, the crocodile roll or the death roll. Everyone heard of that one? Everyone want to see it? Yeah. I'll need an audience volunteer. That's a joke, mate. I'm not going to use an audience volunteer. I'm not going to use myself. I'm going to use this bait rope, okay? So up until now, Hagrid hasn't actually gotten a hold of it. What I'm going to try and do is give him a little piece of it. I'm going to tug at certain angles and it's going to encourage him to roll or head shake. All this is a natural fibred rope. If it snaps off, it can pass right through him. And to make it a little bit more enticing for the crocodile, we got a bit of cowhide on the end, so it's a positive experience for him. He loves this thing. So that is the plan. Look, he's like, it's time to death roll, Beck. All right. See if we can't get one of those jaw pops before we give it to him. It's being a bit funny. Can you come up? Whoa! You got me wet, mate. That's not part of the plan. Okay. Oh, here we go already. You gonna roll for me? Roll over. Right. A bit less enthusiastic, mate, but we'll take it. And go for a head shake. Proud owners of the world's slowest rolling crocodile. All right, now drop. Drop it. Whoa. Look, we've done that. Can I have this? He's embarrassing, isn't he? All right, let's just give this a shot, see if he'll give this back to me. Come on, Haggy. They're still laughing at it, it's still funny. Oh, yeah. All right. That was the easy part of the show. I do actually have to get this bait rope back off him. Sit tight. He held on to it till 8 o'clock in Eden's show, so it was a boring croc show. What we're going to do is this is a bit of a patience game. So if you've been out on the boats, you might have seen that the crocodiles, they sit with their mouth open. They've got like a barrier there. In order for him to try swallow this, he has to lift his head up out of the water and try and put it down his throat. That's when I'm going to use my Great Northern reflexes. I'm going to flick it out of his mouth at the right time, okay? That's a plan. We'll see how we go. Now, Hagrid has been doing this show for a very long time, like 10 years or something like that. And we've come up with a few techniques to try and encourage him to do that swallowing thing. So what Eden's going to do is chuck some chicken feathers in here. We'll see if that makes him let go, hey? 10 years, and that is the best we've come up with. So we are just going to play the patience game. What this is doing is it's making him think. They've got a very good visual plane of the water here, so he can see these chicken feathers, and he's thinking, chicken, bait rope, Beck, he's going to want to eat one of them, right? But while we wait for him to decide which... Nah. Oh. Oh my God, the suspense is killing me. What are you going to do? He's thinking about it. It does. Look at him. Got it. All right. It does bring me to an interesting point, guys. Let's say, we're going to have an issue. Let's say it's not the bait rope in Hagrid's mouth. I've stuffed up during the show. It's me. I'm in the mouth of a saltwater crocodile. We're in the water. How the heck am I going to make it let go of me? Any thoughts? Poke him in the eyes, definitely. I've heard of stories where that has worked with saltwater crocs. And I've also, sorry mate, the chicken feather's on the other side of the cage. We'll get it for you. I've also heard of stories where it hasn't worked, so that kind of evens out my feelings about that one. Anyone have any other thoughts? Oh, just wait. Anyone have any other thoughts? Go for it. 2 fingers up his nostrils, definitely. It could irritate him enough to spit you out, for sure. Anything else? Get someone to throw a bigger piece of food in, like your brother? Yeah. Anything else? What do you reckon, hun, up the front? What do you reckon? Pull his lung? Hey, oh yeah, if you can reach his lungs, mate, go for it. You're pretty far into the crocodile to do that, but go ahead. Anything else, guys? Smack his face, punch on with him, definitely. Guys, I like to ask this because there is no way that we know of to 100% make a crocodile let go of you. We ask this because audience members, particularly kids, usually come up with good ideas and we just write them down for if it ever happens kind of thing. Now, the eye gouge, the nose punch, that kind of stuff we hear all the time. We do hear some people say, usually, if you heard me talking about that palatal valve, if you're in the mouth of a crocodile, the first thing you have to do is stay really calm and calculated. Think back to this show, grab a spare arm, chuck it down further into the crocodile, push down that palatal valve, it'll flood his lungs full of water and he'll spit you out. You know what we call that? A theory. If nothing else is working, guys, you give it a go, you come back and let me know how you went, yeah? Definitely, guys, do something, whatever you can to try and make that thing let go of you. But 99% of people who have had that experience with a croc, do you know what they are? They're dead. That is the harsh reality of it. But in terms of the eye gouge, we do know a story where it's worked, and we've been telling this story in the show for years because it's got a bit of a sick and twisted ending. You guys want to hear it anyway? Yeah, I can hear all the kids say yes. So the story goes, I think it was 15 or 20 years ago, there was a family and they were camping up the top of Cape York there. Now, they were near a riverbank, and the big mistake that they made was that day they'd gone out fishing and they tied up some fish frames. Just going to go over here. They tied up some fish frames in a tree so that the next day they could use it for crab bait. During the middle of the night, a big 4.5 metre crocodile must have smelt these fish frames, so it comes waltzing into the camp. It tries to grab the fish frames, they're too far up the tree, so it looks around, sees the next best thing, little old lady in a single man tent wide open. You beauty, free feed, he goes over and proceeds to pick her up and casually starts walking back to the river. Now, for some reason, this caused the lady some concern. So she starts yelling out, screaming, carrying on. Luckily, someone was there to hear the commotion. So a bloke, he comes out in the middle of the night, he jumps on the back of a 4.5 metre crocodile, sticks his fingers in its eyes, it lets go of the old lady, he cops a bite, breaks his arm. It's enough to irritate the crocodile, it proceeds back to the water with neither of them in his mouth. He's a hero, no doubt about it. However, this bloke had 2 significant advantages that made this story successful. Firstly, the crocodile was up on the land. That's not where they're as deadly. In the water, that's where they're killing things most of the time. Secondly, probably a little bit more significantly, the crocodile had hold of someone else. That's going to favour you every day of the week, right? But the sick and twisted ending to this story is this bloke was a young man who ran out in the middle of the night, risked his own life to tackle a crocodile, and successfully save his mother-in-law. He was Australian as well. Now, I really like to think my husband would do it for me. I reckon what he might do is pause and just let nature take its course, right? Some people call it a missed opportunity. Now, we are going to feed this guy one more time, but he is a low endurance animal, so we like to give him a little bit of a rest after that rolling. So we're going to talk a little bit about crocodile management, avoiding crocodile attacks here in far north Queensland. We're going to have a little bit of time for questions, and then we're going to do a big final hand feed at the end. So in terms of saltwater crocs here in Australia, we don't get attacked by them every day, every week, every month, not even every year. In the last 100 years, we have had 85 deaths to crocodiles here in Australia. It's not that high, right? And the large majority of people who have been attacked by these guys have been in the water swimming with them. The good news about salties is they don't sit out the back of coals waiting to mug you, right? To be attacked by a saltwater crocodile, you have to be near a water source or in the water with them. They don't just kind of plan attacks or anything like that. So what we do is we try and make people aware that crocodiles are here. The first thing that the government does is they put up these big yellow signs. I'm sure you've all seen them while you've been around the Cairns area. And what that sign means is that in the last 100 years, there's been a crocodile sighted in that water source. So there's the potential for one to be there. The second thing they start to do is remove naughty crocodiles. So crocodiles that are too humanised, they might be hanging around boat ramps, snapping at family dogs, they're getting too close to people. Those guys are targeted for removal and they're put into facilities like this. We house as many as we can, but obviously we can't keep them all. The thing is though, if a crocodile goes the full 9 yards and it actually successfully kills a person out in the wild, there's no mucking around, they euthanise that animal as well. And there's a couple of reasons why they do that, and if you talk to people, there's usually two ends of the spectrum. Some people love that, they want all the crocodiles killed, and some people hate that, they don't want them touched. So what they do is they euthanize the ones that are killing people because they have to know that it's actually the crocodile that killed the person. You guys are nervous. Just acting cool, I am too. So they have to make sure it's the crocodile that killed the person. If you happen to have a body here in far north Queensland, you chuck it in a crocodile's mouth, that is a very good way to dispose of it, right? So they have to make sure that no foul play is involved. Secondly, they have to be seen as doing something, because if the next day that crocodile attacks a kid or a brother or a sister or anything like that, that's a PR disaster, right? That's a PR disaster, so the government has to be seen as doing something. Now, the reason that people and crocodiles are conflicting more is because there's more crocodiles around. In the 40s, 50s and 60s, these guys were almost hunted to extinction for their skins and their meats. In the meantime, when the crocodile numbers decreased, we started to build our houses around the waterways, we started to do leisure activities there, go fishing and boating, and now we're starting to see crocodiles in those areas. But if you have a healthy respect for these animals, there's absolutely no reason we can't coexist with them, okay? So, what we're going to do now, we're going to have a little bit of time for questions. I do heaps of the stuff here at the park, so I do crocodile shows, snake shows, boat rides. If anyone needs relationship advice, anything like that, now is the time to ask. Is there any questions today, guys? Go for it, mate. Why is the fence broken in this water? This thing's a psycho. And we've tried to fix it, but every time we try, he tries to eat us. So what we're doing for now is we've just got a bit of cable tie and tie wire, and I think it's safe as houses, mate. Nothing to worry about. Yeah, go for it. The biggest croc we have here at the moment is called Zach. If you've been on the Crocodile Boardwalk, he's just round that way. I think he's just shy of 5 metres. He ate a pet dog called Zach. That's how he got his name. We've also got Paul in the main lagoon. He's pretty much the same size as Zach as well. They're our biggest ones at the moment. The biggest we ever had here was Ted. He was 5.3 metres, I think. So, yeah, big crocs. The biggest one ever recorded in captivity was 6 metres, 17 centimetres, weighed about a tonne in weight. Go for it.
Have you ever had a dream about getting eaten or bitten by a
Have I ever had a dream about being eaten? It's funny, I'd just come back from maternity leave. I haven't been doing this show for that long, and before I came back, I had a dream that they'd put a second crocodile in here and no one told me. So I came out to do the show and 2 crocodiles tried to mince me, but luckily I woke up. There's still only one as far as I know. Go for it, mate. Either one. Will it snap me? Yeah. Yeah, he will. If I fall over, he'll kill me. Yeah. Go for it, mate. Do I like doing the show? It is my favourite thing to do here at work because I'm an adrenaline junkie. I don't go skydiving or anything like that. I just muck around with this thing. It's working out well so far. Yeah. Go for it. Do they eat their young? They don't eat their own babies as far as we know. We think that mums and dads might be able to tell who their babies are, but that doesn't stop them from eating the neighbours' kids. Yeah, so they are cannibalistic, but we don't think they'll eat their own offspring. Yeah. Go for it, mate. He can hold his breath for a very, very long time. So in a stressful situation, like if I was punching, kicking, trying to get out of his mouth, 45 minutes, no problem. If he was nice and relaxed, if he decided he didn't want to do the show, he swam out here and he sunk down, 2 to 3 hours, come up for a minute, go down for another 2 or 3 hours. So they can do multi-hour dives. The record, the one that's been scientifically proven for the longest breath hold, was from a little freshwater crocodile, and it nearly was under for 7 hours. Yeah. So you're not going to win that game if that's what you're thinking. Yeah. Go for it, hun. Do they eat rocks to sink? That's a good question. That's a bit of a theory that they have going on. They have found rocks in crocodiles' stomachs. They haven't seen them eating them on purpose though, so they're not sure if they're accidentally ingesting them or if they are eating them for a reason. If it's for a reason, it's either to control their buoyancy, like you said, to make them sink a bit more so they can hold more air when they're doing deep dives, or it might be a bit like a gizzard, so it helps digestion a bit like what birds have, yeah. But we're not sure. A lot of things with behaviourally with crocodiles is still theories, because they're not the easiest animals to work with. If you get too close, they tend to toast you. So a lot of theories, they just haven't been proven yet, yeah. All right, we might have one more and then we'll feed him. Go for it, mate. Why do they do death rolls? It's so that they can break their prey apart into bite-sized chunks, because if you look at Hagrid's mouth, he probably wouldn't be able to swallow you in one go, right? So he just chucks you around till your arms and legs come flying off, and then he eats you piece by piece. Sorry. All right, before I get a complaint, let's feed this thing. I'm just going to get a couple of tools to allow me to do this. If you do have questions after the show, guys, I'm going to hang around for a little bit. I might just give you this bit. I'm going to hang around for a little bit, so come and have a chat to us after the show. If I'm not here, Eden will answer your questions. I might be dead. All right, so he's just followed me then. We want him to be in the right position for this to work. So we're just going to do a couple of feeding cues here. He knows the structure of the show. He knows what's about to happen. Pretty sure that's him moving in closer. Just so you know, guys, this is a 3.7 metre crocodile, and he's hiding in that much water. Oh, no, he's not. There he is. Yeah. Creepy. I want you to get a little bit closer, mate. Delayed reaction. All right. Okay. The stick. Whoa. Alright, that is all we do for a crocodile show. There are other activities around the park if you'd like to go see them. 4 o'clock we have got the cassowary feeding. So head down the path there, they'll let you feed the world's deadliest chicken. After that, we have got the koala feeding at 4:30 up there. That is riveting, don't miss it. But from the crocodile, from me, from the guys, thanks for listening. I'll see you next time, mate.